Today we're talking to St Albans City manager Ian Allinson after the Saints' first summer friendly of 2017. It's a 4-1 defeat against Peterborough United. Ian, I don't think too many people will be surprised by the score, but was it a good workout for you? You put a different team out in both halves?
It was excellent. As I say, it's always difficult in games like this because of the quality you're playing against. And I felt first half we put a side out that we knew from last year. A lot of players knew and understood how they played. And the second half we put a totally different side out, apart from obviously Scotty Thomas and Tom Bender. So great exercise, good 45 minutes for all the players. Quite a hot day here again, but the main thing is at the end of the day we've gained some 45 minutes under their belts. They're a little bit more fitter, and it's better than training for some of these boys.
I think they've been back in training for a week, so it's always going to be a tough afternoon for the boys.
Yeah, it was, yeah, especially against the pro side, as we said. But I felt first half we looked very, very compact. We made it difficult for them. We got a penalty. We had one other sort of opportunity to score. I felt the goal we give away just before half time was disappointing. But again, it's pre-season, as we said. We're here to learn. We're here to get fit. Results for me are important at this stage of the season, but it was a great workout from our point of view. And we've got to thank Peterborough for bringing such a strong side down and allowing us to obviously have this friendly.
Second half, I mean, it's 8 players we haven't seen before, apart from Lane Eady, who was here a few years back. So it gave you a chance to look at them in a match for the first time.
Yeah, exactly, and they're all players that we spoke to in the summer. I mean, some we've already signed, so they're part of what we're doing, and 3 or 4 of them are obviously trying to earn themselves a deal. So it's about them trying to show us what they can do over the next sort of week or two. And they've all done very, very well. As I say, I was disappointed with the 2 free kick goals, but it was difficult at half time because we're trying to set up for set pieces. We didn't set the wall up quickly enough for their 2 free kicks, and then we've allowed them to score 2 goals. But that's all things we can work on over the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks, building up for the first game of the season. But we'd have to learn to have the wall in the right area. The goalkeeper's got to get to know some of the players, obviously, that have now stepped in with him, because obviously it's new to Dean. And as I say, the second and the third goal were poor goals from our point of view, and we can improve on that. I felt their 4th goal was an outstanding finish from the lad, and he took it really well, and it was a great finish from that side of it.
Well, if we can run through the new signings, first of all, as you mentioned, Dean Snedker, the goalkeeper, in for James Russell, who's obviously tied up at Chelsea now.
Yeah, James has made it aware to the end of the season that his commitment with Chelsea is going to be a lot more than expected. So, the one thing he's been very honest with, he'll sign for us and he'll be there as cover for us. But he said that you probably need to go and get a keeper for the season, really. And we spoke to many keepers, but the one that really come out was Dean. And I think today you've seen he's made some fantastic saves. He's stand, he's big and strong. And as I say, we fouled him a little bit in the second half with the 2 set pieces because we didn't set the wall up properly. But as I said to you there, that's going to come from him, that's going to come from me, it's going to come from the players. We lost David Noble, who sets the wall up on a regular basis in the first half. Second half obviously wasn't on the pitch. So again, we have to look at that. But some of the players on the pitch have to take a bit more responsibility in making sure that the wall's set correctly. But that will come over the next couple of weeks.
And you brought Lane Eady back from Harlow Town?
Yeah, I mean, Lane's been doing really well. I think he's been Player of the Year for the last 3 years for them. Again, he's going to be under pressure because we've got Tom Bender that can play there as well. But I've also got Tom Bender that can play centre half, so he can put the centre halves under pressure. So it's good from that point of view. But again, he come highly recommended. I spoke to Mario Noto on a couple of occasions, and everyone we spoke to, were very highly of Lane. And as I say, he's got to get to know some of the players. He's managed to do that in 3 sessions. But again, he'll get better as the season goes on.
And Harold Joseph, he had 1 game against us. We played for Arlesey Town a few years back. He must have been a young kid. They lost 5-0 that day. But obviously you see some potential there.
Yeah, Harold's, he's big and strong. He talks very well. He's got lots of pace. He's had a great season with Enfield. As we said all along, Enfield got to the playoffs in the Ryman Premier. So it's just us looking at some of the players that are going to help us, obviously. And it's not just about the 11 stars, it's about having a squad. So, Harold's going to put the centre halves under pressure. And as I say, he's got the pace that we need to defend properly at times. And as I say, he's just come straight off of 3 hard training sessions. And it's just about them now getting used to playing against pros, because it's been difficult last year in terms of playing Ryman football. Coming up against the Championship side here has been very difficult. And the one thing in the second half, because I played a 4-4-2, which I didn't want to do, but I wanted to look at the 2 forwards, we opened ourselves up a little bit too much to, and probably their 2 forwards causes a lot of problems in the second half with their movement and pace. But again, it'd be a good signing, Harold, and he'll give us that strength in depth that we need.
Reece Williamson?
Rhys Williams obviously he was at Dulwich, done a bit at Bournemouth last year and obviously finished up at Welling, so he comes highly recommended. I think we've seen enough today to show that he's a lad that's got tremendous pace. He can go on the outside, go on the inside, and again he's going to put Zane, Banton and Sean Lucien under massive pressure. That we've got 3 wide players that can all go at defenders, can all score goals, and it will give us tremendous pace going forward.
I'm not going to get this one right. Percy, Kean, Benji.
Well, Percy really has come from. Obviously, he was at Enfield last year. He's played right back, centre half, and midfield. But it came from the Sunday League Championship final that he played in. He come highly recommended from the game. Said he was a player of the park, and it was just when we was talking to Harold that we said, what about Percy? And he said, well, he's a friend of his. Let's get him in. And he's been, to be fair, he's just a pleasure to have around the place. He's got a smile on his face every minute you talk to him. He absolutely just loves running, chasing people down, winning the ball and playing from there. But again, he's a young lad. We've got to teach him and learn him when to play and when not to play, when to pass the ball and when not to pass the ball, and when to run with the ball and when not to run with the ball, because he's got everything there. I mean, he could be anything. If we can get him right and doing the right things at the right times, he could be a great signing for this football club. And I think he showed today against the pros. He's more than a match for any of them. He wants to win the ball. He won a great tackle in midfield and unleashed a shot from 20 yards. And I'd say he's exciting for me because I think he's one of them that it could be anything. We just don't know. He could be something that we find and he'll just blossom from there. And if we can get him to do them simple things at the right time, he could be a very, very good signing for us.
Kieran Ford, presumably a trialist today.
Yeah, Kieran coming on Thursday night. I think he's obviously looking to try and earn himself a deal, so we're quite happy. I mean, obviously anyone that's been at Maidenhead and not going to be poor players, and again he showed us what he can do. So we've got a couple more games and let him have a look, and then we can make a decision on that one.
And the same for Tom Richards?
Tom Richards, yeah, he was at Aldershot and then went to Welling. He's obviously came in again, highly recommended. I think we've seen enough there in 45 minutes. There's something there to look at. Again, we'll make a decision on Tom in the next couple of weeks, and he'll get an opportunity over the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks just to show us what he can actually do.
Here's another one I'm going to get wrong. Flo Boget.
Yeah, Flo's. Flo's got a bit of a background in terms of where he was at Huddersfield, but he's a Boreham Wood boy in terms of where he lives. I know he went into Boreham Wood last week for a week's trial, and Luke Garrard kindly rang me last Sunday and just said that he didn't think he was going to be what they're looking for. So he sent him in on Tuesday. He came in Tuesday and Thursday, and I think we've seen a bit today. There's something there to work with, and I'd like to see him and Sam and him and Charlie Walker in next couple of games to see how they work as pairings, because certainly there I don't think he gave the ball away the second half. His hold-up play was very, very good. The one thing we asked is, has he got goals in his performances, which is what we're going to need.
A couple of players not here today who ended last season with us, Joe Robinson and Graham Montgomery.
Well, Graham has got a lot of commitments. He's been training with us, Graham. He's been training quite a lot with us in terms of that side of it. But Graham's getting married this year, so he's made it aware that his commitment isn't going to be to the level we're probably going to require. So I spoke to him yesterday, and it's probably going to be best if he goes and signs for somebody this season who's going to be quite comfortable knowing he might not be here for 3 or 4 or 5 weeks of the season. So and I don't want to sign Graham and lose out on Rhys Williams and lose a player that we know we're going to have for 38, 40 weeks of the season. So that will come from just being honest. And as I say, we've still got Jamie Curtin who's still signed with us as well. But I gave Jamie the weekend off because he's been playing in the World Cup, I think, for the England over 40s, and he's played in the Hong Kong Sevens. So he's trained really well, Jamie. He looks really sharp, but I just don't want to kill the boy because he's had a hard, long summer where obviously if we bring him in on a hot day like this against the pros, it will just take away what we're trying to do with him.
One person who looked quite sharp in that second half was Sam Merson. I guess it's a big season for him.
I think it's got to be. I mean, we've got a couple of clubs showing interest. I mean, QPR were a club that's shown interest at the end of the season, and I need to speak to. I think he's been in training for a week with him as well. So he just went off. He just lost his way a little bit second half last season. He lost that little bit of spring he's got. But I think we've seen today, he's got his spring back in training. He's looked very sharp, and it's going to be a big season for him because obviously, we've got to try and continue and make sure he scores the goals from where we finished last season. I think he ended up 14, 15 goals last season. If he plays regular week in, week out, can we get 20 goals out of him? But Sam's got to be consistent with it. We can't have a Sam Merson that plays well one week and doesn't play well the next week. We've got to have somebody that's going to play well week in, week out, because when he does, it's a handful. He scores great goals. You've seen today. Him and Flo really, combined quite well on 2 or 3 occasions in the second half, and he just snatched at 1 or 2 opportunities. But last year we see him smash him in the back of the net and the top corners and goals against. I think it was Gosport and goals against Whitehall and against Bishop Stortford. They were, outstanding goals for us.
And I mean, one of the things you mentioned from the mid-season slump of last year was trying to gel everyone together. You haven't exactly brought too many in, so you must be hoping that the new signings can gel very quickly into the existing squad.
Well, that's why I went with the first team today, knowing that they all knew each other, and I felt we continued from where we left off last season. Even though the results didn't really show some of our performances, I felt our performances at Eastbourne, Margate here, Bishop Stortford here, and East Thurrock here were very good performances, but we didn't really get the results from it. But I think we've got a good squad there in that first 11. They're all signed for next season, so we know that. Now we've got to go and pick 4, 5, 6, 7 out of the second 11 to make sure we've got a squad of 18 going into the start of the season. So we don't want to disrupt it too much. We had too much disruption in January, February last year, and it took us a long time to get back on track. But hopefully with the younger lads we brought in, we've got legs about us, we've got an energy about us, and we just got to make sure we don't concede too many silly goals like we did in the second half of last season, because in the end, goals conceded makes it hard for you to go and win any games of football.
Defensive wise, actually, Jack Saville and Gardner in the second half, they look quite, the first half, sorry, they look all right.
They look good. They look good as a pair, and as they both trained really hard. I mean, Jack had a few niggles coming in last season, which didn't help. I mean, there's too many games he missed. So, and I think young Tom coming in, everyone thinks he's a big centre half, but he's only actually 21, 22 years of age. So we've got to be careful. The lad, he's had a good background at Dartford, but we've got to make sure that we look after the pair of them. We, don't overplay them. And we've got to make sure that we defend properly. I think it makes it easier for them as defensive unit if we defend well from the front, and I felt we defended really well from the front today. Charlie Walker doesn't stop running, but the 5 in front of them were very disciplined, didn't allow many holes, and then we went and broke from them areas.
And aspirations for the season? I mean, the playoffs are now extended, so
I just think, to be fair, I mean, we can all make decisions into where we want to be. I think we need to improve again on last season. That's the way, and if we can develop some players, which I think we're starting to do. Already, you've got clubs interested in 1 or 2 of our players already because they're young, they're energetic, they look good footballers. And the one thing we've got to do is make sure we look after them first and foremost. And if we can improve on last year, then who knows? I said it last year. We improved on the year before, and really you look back at it, and we should have made the playoffs. Nobody's more disappointed than I was, but unfortunately it went wrong at a real important part of the season. We made some changes that I felt were needed eventually, but I probably went a little bit too long with it because the performances against Oxford or Hampton and the 2 Oxford games wasn't good enough. I felt we recovered a little bit against Paul and Maidenhead, but after that our performances were poor. I just think we didn't do things correctly in some areas, which I have to take full responsibility of, and we didn't look after ourselves on and off the pitch, and it showed in our performances, and it took a long time to turn that round. And probably the lowest point, and you guys were there at Gosport away, was probably the lowest point of the season. But hopefully we can improve from that. Hopefully we can improve from where we was last season. If we can do that, you never know with the playoffs there. I've dropped it down an extra 2 places, I think, so it gives you an opportunity. And if you can make the playoffs, it becomes a lottery anyway. So let's see if we can do that. But I think first and foremost is improve on last season's position.
Thanks so much, Ian.
Thanks,
Saints next in action then this coming Tuesday, the 11th of July, when Cambridge United are visitors. Clarence Park. Kick-off is at 7:30 p.m.